Hey Doma fam, Brian and I are here for a wind down to make your hips and hamstrings feel heavenly. You won't need any props for today's class, although I will add a caveat to that. You may want a block. So if you want it, grab it, and then meet us right back here. Let's get flowing. All right, let's get started in a seat. So take a moment to sit cross-legged, just in an easy, comfortable seat towards the top of your mat. And you might rock or sway from side to side and just kind of settle in. Make sure you have a comfortable seat. You've kind of evened out your distribution of weight. And then take a couple of deep breaths. Gently scan your body to notice any areas of tension or tightness, anything that might be kind of talking to you. That might also be areas that are full of energy and movement. And then you might gently scan your mind, see if any of that kind of movement is happening up there. And some of it may be necessary, some of it not so necessary. And so take a moment to decide, notice, and reflect. Take a nice big breath in. And on your exhale, you'll simply fold forward over your legs. So you can bring yourself down to your forearms. You might sink a little lower and relax your forehead. And just find yourself into a comfortable position. Now, if you have decided to grab onto a block today, you can always use your block and place it underneath where about your forehead might land and relax your forehead there. So if you need the ground to be a little bit closer, a block can always be a really nice choice. We'll be here for a couple more breaths. And just breathe into the spaces that maybe start to talk to you as you start to introduce movement. On your next inhale, slowly rise. As you exhale, take your hands behind your back. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, give yourself a backward bend. Look up, look back. Go back as far as feels available. You might allow your head and your neck to start to drift back. And then on your inhale, gently bring yourself back through center. As you exhale, switch at your feet. So whichever foot was in front, just switch it with the other one. Take a moment to readjust and then breathe in. And on your exhale, fold forward. And just take any notes on this side. Tension or tightness isn't bad. It's not wrong. It just is. We'll see if you can start to observe the qualities of your body, maybe even also the qualities of your mind with a little less judgment, a little more curiosity, just to kind of notice what's there. Sometimes we get in the habit of judging things. I like this, I don't like that. Maybe some things just are. Slowly rise, breathe in. On your exhale, take your hands behind your back. Another backward bend. So take your inhale to lift your chest. Your exhale to take you back. Stay for one more breath in. And one more breath out. Use your next inhale to bring yourself back through center. And your exhale to settle. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead. On your exhale, take a side bend towards the right. So release your right hand or forearm towards the floor and reach your left fingertips up and over towards the right. So notice your right shoulder. See if you can kind of sink it down towards your mat. Let your left hip press down. So you get that nice long, achy stretch down the left side of your body. As you inhale, you'll bring yourself back through center. And as you exhale, you'll take a side bend towards the left. So relax your left shoulder, your left forearm. Now, the forearm might not touch the floor. That's fine. Elbow might not touch the floor, no big deal. But you want to make sure that the shoulder isn't driving up into your ear. So relax your shoulder away from your ear. Let it go. And then reach through your right fingertips. A few deep breaths, just creating some space through the planes of motion of your spine. On your inhale, bring yourself through center. And on your exhale, right hand comes behind your back. Twist, left hand on the outside of your right thigh. Breathe in, chest up. And exhale, turn and twist. Inhale, come through center. Exhale, twist to your left. Look all the way over your left shoulder. Inhale through center. And on your exhale, you'll cross over your shins and we meet in a downward dog position. So send your hips back and up into a nice upside down letter V shape. And you can pedal out your heels here. Maybe give your head a few nods, yes and then no. Inhale, lift your right leg high, split dog. On your exhale, step your right foot in between your hands. Now, if your foot doesn't quite make it, no problem. Wiggle, grab on from your calf muscle and wiggle your right toes up, and then gently set your left knee down. Inhale as you rise to Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Sweep your arms overhead. Let your hips sink nice and low. Just stay for a few breaths. Now, you can keep your arms up there if this feels good. You can take a few different hand variations, so choose the one that works best for you. You might interlace your grip behind your head, pull your elbows wide, offer yourself a little backward bend. You might already have enough sensation, and so you'd rather just kind of leave your hands on the top of your thigh and sit low. Well, take what you need. Don't be afraid to play a little bit. Just trying to get some space through our hips and hamstrings today. So much tension tends to build in the hip flexors on the front side of the body, and it really starts to pull on our low spine. So giving a little bit of time to kind of release those tight spots can be like all sorts of magic. Nice and slow, you'll drive out of your right leg. And then work your right leg straight. Keep your heel and hip in the same line, and you'll slowly start to fold forward over your right leg. Half Hanumanasana, half splits. So hips are stacked right over the tops of your knees. This is a good spot to also utilize your block, make the floor a little bit closer. So you might take your block underneath your knee, and then you can have the ground a little closer. But if you don't have a block, no worries. You can tent into your fingertips, or you can even rest your hands on your shin and ankle. So you've got some options, but see if you can kind of fold yourself forward. Notice some space through your hamstrings, your hips. Right away, releasing your low back. Feels so good. And then notice a little something. Sometimes when we start to fold forward, we tuck the chin and then just kind of collapse over our leg. So see if you can look forward towards your toes or towards the top of your mat and stretch forward more like you're stretching forward from your collarbones. We tend to round forward all the time, all day over our phones and computers, and so any kind of moment where we can bring a little bit more awareness and just kind of back off of that a little bit is time well spent, in my opinion. Okay, here we go. Rock forward into your right leg, plant your palms, tuck your toes, and step your right foot back into a down dog. We'll go for the same thing on your left. Inhale, lift your left leg high, split dog. On your exhale, step in between your hands. So gather your lunge long, wiggle your toes out in front, and gently lower your right knee to the floor. Inhale as you rise to find Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Sweep your arms overhead, let your hips sink low. Notice the amount of breath that you can find on this side, and then maybe you take an interlaced grip behind your head, let your elbows go wide, give yourself a little backward bend. Again, you can take it or leave it, right? You can take your hands to your thigh. You might already have enough initiation of stretch for you here. Just a few more deep breaths. Nice and slow. Start to drive through your left leg. And then fold over in half splits once again. So make sure that your heel and your knee and your hip are all in the same line. To the best of your ability, square your hips towards the top of your mat and then start to fold forward. Just notice what's there. So often the tension and tightness in our low back is from a lot of tightness in our hamstrings. So if you can find a little bit of space, again, same kind of work on this side, stretch the top of your head forward, find length. And then as you get long, you fold in over your left leg. Take your time. None of this happens overnight. It takes concentrated effort. Doesn't have to be amazing every time you make it onto your mat. I literally don't think that's possible. All the yoga asks us for is that we show up consistently. Do the best we can and then do it again tomorrow. So if today things feel stiff and tight, no worries. Just do it tomorrow. Might feel a little better, might feel a little worse, but eventually good will come. It's the nature of our world that's kind of ever changing. So be with the way your body feels here and now. Do your best not to judge it. And then just come back tomorrow. Do it again. Rock forward into your left leg, plant your palms. Tuck your toes and step back into your down dog. A big breath in. And then a breath out. Inhale, lift your right leg high, split dog. Exhale to pigeon, right knee to your right wrist. Shin comes on a diagonal. Softly set your right shin to the floor. Slide your left toes back, left heel in line with your left hip. You can take a moment to kind of square and set yourself up. So make sure that your hips are pretty square to the top of your mat, but your right knee can really be off towards the right pretty well. Lift your chest. When you're ready, fold yourself as far forward as you got. Come back to your breath. To this moment that you've set aside for yourself. Taking the time to slow down is not always easy. We get so comfortable in our busyness and rushing from one thing to the next. And then somehow the act of slowing down stresses us out. So see if you can maybe thank yourself for making the time to show up and slow down. Slowly rise. Plant your palms underneath your shoulders, tuck your left toes, and step your right foot back. Find downward facing dog. Left leg goes for the same thing. Inhale, sweep your left leg high. On your exhale, left knee towards your left wrist, shin on a diagonal for your pigeon. Wiggle and slide your right toes back, right heel in line with your right knee. Adjust your left knee and shin to your depth. Square your hips to the top of your mat. On a breath in, lift your chest. And as you breathe out, fold forward. The movement with your breath helps to facilitate deepening. It also helps to facilitate trust because our bodies want to trust us. And sometimes we do things that are not always nice to our bodies. And then we kind of break that trust bond. And so when you move and you breathe consciously and slowly and in rhythm with movement, the body starts to build back your trust. So keep breathing, especially when things start to feel uncomfortable. And see what happens. See how your body unfolds for you. Inhale nice and slow, start to rise. Lift your chest. Lean off towards your left and sweep your right leg up, over, and around. And place the sole of your left foot to your upper inner thigh on the right leg. Janusharasana. Pivot yourself over your right leg. Take a breath in. And then on your exhale, with a straight spine, fold over. You might be able to grab for your toes, but you also might grab for your calf muscle or your ankle. And stretch the top of your toes towards you. The top of your head towards your toes, rather. Find a little bit of length and a whole lot of breath. Inhale, slowly lift. And exhale, you'll switch. Left leg out, right leg in. Sole of your inner thigh and the sole of your foot touch. Pivot over your left leg, and then fold with a straight spine again. No rush, no hurry. Just kind of see what's there. Get curious about some spots that might feel sticky or spots that might have some space to them. Nice and slow. Start to rise, sit up tall. Bring the soles of your feet together in Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose, or a butterfly shape. Soles of your feet pressed together. Pull your heels in towards the midline of your body, as close as you've got. Sit up tall, 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 and then slowly fold forward. Keep your spine straight. You'll get an opportunity to round, so one more time with a straight spine. Top of your head stretches forward. You may want to utilize your elbows and press your elbows into your inner thighs to just kind of encourage maybe a little bit more depth in there. Strong, steady breaths. Good. Inhale, lift. This time, exhale, tuck your chin, round your shoulders. Work your forehead towards your toes. Doesn't have to touch by any means. It can also help to squeeze your elbows in towards the midline of your body so you make yourself really tight and compact. Round and squeeze in. Inhale, unwind, slowly rise. As you exhale, sit to the top. And then slide your feet out. Keep the soles of your feet together though. Slide your feet out, 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 out towards the top of your mat. And then you'll come to a point where the feet, the like fleshy part, the ball of your foot, that's what that's called, starts to open up a little bit. So your heels still touch, but you create this really big diamond shape. And so do your best to sit up tall. Kind of little wiggles help, and then fold forward with the straight spine over your legs. So you just say hello to the outsides of your hips. This can be rather intense. I will totally warn you on that. So if it ever feels like too much, where you feel pressure starting to happen through your knees, just lift them up a little bit. That'll bring it out. And if you have a block, you can also set it underneath the knee, whatever knee is bothering you most. But it's this external rotation of the hip. So sometimes you can feel it into the knees, but there's no real pressure on the knees, so they should be good. Just mindful if they start to get a little achy. Again, you're working to get long, and then big, deep breaths. Really helping to release some of that kind of built up tension that can happen on your low spine. A few more deep breaths. Good. Gently rise. Take your time. Place your hands on the outsides of your knees and slowly bring your knees all the way back together. Bend your knees and plant your palms behind your back. Fingers are facing your hips. Take your right foot and figure four shape it on top of your left thigh. So this might have already initiated enough stretch for you, and if it is, you stay. If you want a little bit more, then you'll start to slide your left heel in towards your glutes. And then if you want more, you press into your palms and lift your chest. So flex your right toes pretty firmly, and this will help to stabilize the little muscles around your knee to protect your knees, but also helps to encourage a little more depth of stretch. Push your chest nice and high. Come back to your breath. Good. And then nice and slow, you'll keep your shape. And let your right foot fall off towards the right. And then look over your right shoulder. Just a subtle little stretch. Maybe not so subtle. It's a nice little release to your low back. Good. Gently come through center. And switch out your feet. Left foot comes on top in a figure four shape. You'll slide this time your right heel in till you find the perfect spot. Lift your chest. Flex your left toes and come back to your breath. Really nice little release into the outsides of your hips, piriformis. Really good if you love to go for runs or you've just done a lot of heavy lower body exercises. You know, a little moment to release them is really important in building strength and flexibility. You really need to have both in order to prevent injury and really continue to long-term maximize your results. So moments to stretch are not wasted moments. They are vital, 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 vital moments. So give yourself a couple more breaths here. And then we'll take our little twist. Okay, let's do it. Just let your feet, left foot, fall off towards the side. And then look over your left shoulder. Good, nice and slow. Come back through center. Unhook at your feet. Take a nice big bend in your knees. Breathe in, lift your chest. And on your exhale, nice and slow, guide yourself all the way back. I'm going to take one more stretch. So bend your knees deeply and plant the soles of your feet on the outer edges of your mat. Let your knees kind of windshield wiper from right to left. And then on your next time to the right, hold it. So this might feel like plenty. But if you want a little bit more, you might take your right foot on the outside of your left thigh and goalpost out your elbows as you look over your left shoulder. And just notice where you might feel kind of an epicenter of sensation. See if for these last few moments you can allow that sensation to draw you in. Bring you back into the present moment, back into your body. Nice and slow, release your right foot from out on top of your left. Gently bring your knees back through center. Make sure that your feet still stay wide, mat width distance, and then your knees fall off towards your left. Again, if you'd like that little bit of extra, left foot can come on the outside of your right thigh. And then goal posted or teed out arms, you can look over your right shoulder. Take your time. Nice and slow. Bring your left foot off on top of your right. Gently bring your knees back through center and then knees into your chest for a little squeeze. You can kind of rock or sway, massaging your low back for a moment. And then release your legs long. Take a rest. Let your toes fall open. Shoulders away from your ears. You might take your palms facing up and arms nice and wide. Take up some space. You might take your hands to your belly and chest. And just for these final few moments of practice, I really invite you to rest. Give yourself a little love, credit, and gratitude for taking the time to slow down, to give yourself a little bit of your energy, a little bit of your effort, but most importantly, your time. It's always time well spent when it's time taking care of you. Thank you so much for joining us in practice. Can't wait to see you again soon. Bye, guys.